Lads, you are very, very welcome to my brand new podcast in a brand new studio. My podcast is called Soulchats, and this episode's guest is actually my son. And the reason why we're in this studio and the reason why my son is my first guest for Series 5 is because he personally has been pushing me over the years to up my standards with sound and video quality. So it's all Jamie Byrne's fault why we're all here. So Jay is one of my biggest teachers. He is one of my biggest challengers. And I listen very carefully, even though he doesn't think that I listen to him, I do listen to him very carefully because he teaches me a lot. So this is Jamie Byrne. Jamie Byrne, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
How does it feel? How does it feel to be in the room?
Yeah, really.
Recording a podcast with your mum? A bit weird?
No, it's not weird. I'm excited.
Okay. So I think you offered to do this podcast. I think that was really unusual for you because generally you're quite private.
Yeah.
And I live a very public life and you don't.
Yeah.
So what made you, well, maybe we should talk about the reason why this actually came about was because Jay said a sentence that blew my mind, and I asked you to not explain it until we were actually doing this podcast. Okay, so I wrote it down, but if I'm paraphrasing, tell me if I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think you said was, your parents rear you, but your friends raise you.
Yeah.
And that really intrigued me. It hurt my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
So will you explain that to me? Because I would like to think that myself and your dad are your biggest influencers.
Yeah.
But you're a young man now because you're 18.
Yeah.
So explain what that means in your world.
So, I don't know, I think your parents, like, you done everything in their power to raise me, to rear me as much as you can and to have me on the path that you would like me to succeed and, like, do my best and do everything I want to do. And that was your job as such, to do your best for me. But I think parents can only do so much for their kids because parents only have so much, like, control over what their kids do. Like, I've been through, like, I don't know, maybe 10 friend groups. So if you think about it like that, that's 10 different life experiences nearly of different friend groups that you grow up with, that you learn and you raise each other really, because I know, especially with me, spent a lot of time out of the house when I was younger, just out playing on the road, on my bike.
I used to force you out.
Yeah, on my bike.
Sunshine time is outside time.
Always. So I think your parents can only do so much in the respect of they can show you your manners and how to be polite and tie your shoelaces, as little stuff as that. But it kind of comes down to me as the child and who I want to be friends with. Yeah. So if you're hanging around with people who have the same aspirations in you and have dedication and stuff like that, you will slowly become like that. Yeah. Whereas if you're hanging around with people who just are lazy and spend time sitting up the shops all day, you're not going to get.
And did you find yourself in situations whereby you had to make tough decisions with certain friend groups? Because you said there was 10 friend groups that you went through.
I'd say minimum.
Yeah, because in our house we would have an open door policy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've always, I suppose, do you think that we've always had an open door policy?
Always.
Yeah. So the way that Dad and I would have tried to rear you and Charlie is to make sure that you and your pals always knew that our house was a safe place to come. But as a result, there was always the steadfast people, I suppose, but there was always new kind of tagger-alongers that maybe didn't last as long. But did you ever find yourself in a position whereby you had to make an uncomfortable, tough decision with particular friend groups when you were younger?
Yeah, a few times. Definitely a few times. There was, when I'd say I was going into secondary school, starting off in secondary school, that's kind of a big part of your growing up of when people kind of realise what kind of path they want to take. And obviously people can veer from the path and stop themselves from doing certain things. But I'd say there was 2 or 3 times where there was things going on and I'm like, I don't want to be here for this.
Really?
Or I know I shouldn't be doing this, or whatever it is.
And how did you get yourself out of that?
I don't know. I think this is the point of raising and rearing.
Yeah.
You always taught me that like there's a difference between right and wrong.
Mm.
Now it might not have been right or wrong, but it's what I think is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I definitely would have had a friend group before that. So you have morals and stuff, even though you're only a little kid, you get that good feeling of this isn't right, I shouldn't be here, like I need to go home.
I'm glad you said gut feeling. I'm glad you said that, because I was always banging on about that your gut is your most important brain and that you have to follow what your gut is telling you. So I'm glad that that was prevalent for you when you were growing up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, absolutely, it saved me in a few.
Really, did it?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it saved me.
It saved you. Your gut saved you.
Yeah.
That's really important for other people to hear that at your age, actually.
Absolutely. Like, even now, you know, when you go, whether like even something as simple as like, do I get the bus or do I get the train today?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's been times where like that's happened and you actually were really better off getting the bus because that train was an hour late.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have got the train on time.
Yeah, even on a granular level like that, you have to go with your gut.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or trouble.
Yeah.
Like, you know the way, say, if we're in traffic and Dad's in the car and he's like, will I go this way or this way? We always say to him, what is you're in charge of the car here. What's your gut telling you to do? And that might sound really oversimplified. But when you go with your gut, sometimes I often think like, geez, maybe we might have avoided an accident there, or maybe we might have avoided like being late, traffic jam or whatever like that.
The butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are you believing in the butterfly effect these days?
Absolutely.
Because you didn't when you were younger.
Yeah, I think you put a different perspective on it now, and then like if you think about like, even how you get into college and stuff, you hadn't made them decisions to like if you think about the night before we even stayed up.
Yeah.
If you even think about me in business, if I hadn't stayed up that night, how do you know I would have gone into college?
Yeah.
Might not have. Might have a stinker on the day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, terrible crammer you were.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. Okay. So, let's start with easy things, right? What is your earliest memory as a kid?
The earliest memory I have is in Gaelic.
Okay, is it back that far?
Yeah.
No way.
In Gaelic. And you had told me not to swing on the neighbour's gate.
No way.
And I said, go on. So
you went against your go?
Yeah, went against me go.
Right.
Swinging on the gate, and the gate it was like a tallish gate.
Yeah.
So we got onto like the second level of it. And I had green wellies on, I remember. And swinging on the gate, and the gates had spikes on the top of it.
Yeah.
And I bounced my head off one of the spikes.
Yeah.
And I remember just walking, like head down, blood dripping onto me wellies, onto the concrete coming into the driveway. And then just like opening the door and just blood still coming out of my head.
Right, yeah, I recall that quite vividly.
Yeah, that's my earliest memory that I can think of.
Okay, so it's not a great memory?
No, not really. Bit of trauma involved there.
A bit of trauma, yeah. We ended up in the hospital again that day. Okay, right. So do you have, what's your favourite? Because I'm sure that's not a favourite memory.
That's good. Like, it's funny though, it is a favourite. Like, it would be a favourite memory of growing up.
Yeah.
Because it kind of shows what I was like growing up.
Yeah, it totally does. I suppose it's good for context for people to know that even before you were born, you were my first pregnancy, so I didn't really know what was going on. My body changing all the time. But I was getting these pains in like a square in my tummy. And I ended up going into the hospital to find out what was going on. And it turns out you were doing star jumps. And I could see it on the screen, you were doing star jumps. But then when you were born, you constantly looked like you were cycling. You were just your feet and your legs were going the whole time. So Jay was the kid that was born with a life-threatening illness, laryngomalacia. That wasn't good crack for the first 2 years. We had to work very hard to try and keep you alive. We actually only explained all of that to Jamie properly last year on holidays, which was very upsetting.
No, I obviously knew about it.
You knew about it, but you didn't know the level of how bad it actually was. But we explained all that shit and I got very upset because I when there's something traumatic happening for me, I just head down, get on with it. And then I deal with it about 5 years later. That's the old me. But I suppose you always did everything first. Like you were early for everything. You crawled at 5 months. We lost you at 10 months up a ladder. Couldn't find you. You were gone the day that we moved to Gaelic, actually. Then we thought the house was getting broken into because you were walking around the house in the middle of the night as a baby, throwing yourself over stair gates. Then we got you the horsey door built in your bedroom. And the guy who built it for us thought that we were really evil parents, but we were like, this is for this kid's safety. And then the 3/4 door lasted not even 24 hours because you built a barricade up the other side of it so that you could climb up it. Then we got rid of everything out of your room. Then you used the chest of drawers as a ladder to be able to pole vault over the top of it. We brought you to Jerry Keane's. We told Jerry Keane the story. This is the guy who sells equipment for babies. And he was like, we have the cot for you. This kid is not getting out of his cot. And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. He put you in the cot and you were out of it in 3 seconds. And he was like, we can't help you. There's nothing that we can do here to help you. Right. So that's the kind of kid that you were full on all the time. It was constant and it didn't stop. And you were that's not a complaint, by the way. You were always absolutely bleeding grey crack. And us going off on adventures every day. But I'm not surprised that your earliest memory involves you damaging yourself and it involves blood and a hospital visit and stitches. Okay. So tell me from your perspective, we've given a bit of context now, what was your life like growing up when we were in Gaelic? Because we weren't really in Gaelic that long. And then we moved to Woodlawn. What was that period when you were small? What was that period like?
See, I don't have many memories from Gaelic because I was so young and stuff. But I remember being out on the road and stuff. And I actually remember catching bees in like a little jar, like a little Dalmio jar or something. We poked holes on top of it. And we were going around trying to catch bees. And
you're probably the last generation of people to ever catch bees.
I think we were all stung. Like we definitely were.
Yeah.
But Gaelic was kind of fairly out on the road and socialising nearly, but as a baby, like as a really young kid, like you don't know what you're doing, so you're just being a kid. But then when we moved into Woodlawn, that was more like family. Like that was. So
give context of what Woodlawn looked like. So we lived in an estate in Gaelic, but then Woodlawn, what does Woodlawn look like?
Woodlawn to me it's a bungalow, but it's not a bungalow. It's really long, massive garden, which was like, I don't know, like the greatest thing you can have when you're 6-year-old, like just absolutely brilliant. But look at all this space, like. But it was old, but it wasn't like, I just loved it.
It was ancient.
Yeah.
It was a couple of 100 years old.
But it didn't feel old.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I know, even though it took ages to heat the house, it was always warm. Unless in the winter it wasn't.
Then we all had to hang around the agate.
Yeah.
So what did the outside like? So it's on its own. It's a cottage extended bungalow, and what was around the area, just so people can see in their eyes mind, in the eye of their mind. Is that what you say?
Into the what?
Is that what you say? In the eye.
In their mind.
Say that again.
In their mind?
No, in the eye of somebody's mind. Is that because you're trying to put the visual into their head?
Yeah. So, the garden was like a rectangle nearly, and there was another one, like a small one around the side of the house. But there was a forest that followed the whole way around the house into the fields, and that went on for a while, like say 20 meters into the forest. So you had like just countless.
It was a couple of acres, like.
Yeah, there was loads of land, like.
And you had a thinking tree. Do you remember?
I remember the thinking tree.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. But yeah, that was just like family and playing and just being out in the trees and running and playing football and rugby and being on the trampoline and hurt myself and finding stuff. And like I remember we found like one of them traps. What was that? Remember the trap?
Oh, it was like it was nearly like for catching hares or something.
It was weird.
Yeah, we found it in the forest. You found it in the forest, yeah.
Then we like because there was apple trees as well. So
that's right. We had an orchard. Yeah.
Throwing apples at that. Yeah, but yeah, that was just nature really, and just spending family time, playing all the time. Because Charlie was really young. I had loads of energy.
Yeah, that period of time, I think, is one of my favourite times in my whole life, because you know, I lived in estates my whole life and lived in busy places. And where we lived in Gaelic was busy because it was a cul-de-sac. So there was always kind of people coming down, turning around. But when we went to Woodlawn, it's actually in Woodlawn where I, for the very first time in my life, ever experienced peace.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really unusual feeling for me because I would have been surrounded by a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And when I experienced peace there with my husband, my 2 kids, I didn't really know what to be doing with myself because it felt so unusual. Now it's par for the course in my life to have peace. But I'm really, really glad at the time. I know that the reasons why we left Gaelic at the time, they weren't nice circumstances, but I think making the decision to leave when we did was the best thing for our family at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I just think we're all very close and very tight anyway, but I just think it nearly galvanised us all more as a family. Yeah. And we just had each other and it was just crack. I just remember constant crack.
Yeah, it was like every night we played football in the hall.
Yeah.
Like every night.
So you have to explain, like a hall in regular houses is like
Tiny,
skinny. But the hallway in Woodlawn was like bigger than our current living room.
Yeah, it was huge.
It was massive. Like it was
huge.
It would be the length of like 2 houses.
Yeah, it was just...
So we were able to play football.
Yeah, like it was a pitch.
It was a pitch, yeah. It was a pitch in the house. But I'm glad that you have those memories of Woodlawn because for me, it's one of my favourite times of my life anyway. Okay, so I actually, on the next set of my notes, I have to tell the story about the jumping jacks and crawling and all that kind of crack. So what's really important is to mention that you've always played a lot of sport. So when you were younger, like when you were tiny, you would have played soccer. And you would have done karate. You would have done dancing.
Oh, yeah.
You would have done Gaelic, rugby. You played hurling for a while. So our house was, that's only one child that I mentioned now, but our house was full on. It was full on. It was constant. And it kind of got to the point where you needed to make a decision about what you wanted to do. Talk to me about that time when you were getting a bit older and you had to make your decisions for sport.
So I know it definitely came quicker with Gaelic when you have to kind of make a decision, because Gaelic is nearly, even though it's at the time it was a club level, it's still taken very seriously, and same with rugby. So when I was about 14, then it starts to like, they start to ramp it up really quickly, and it stops going from training twice a week and having a match at the weekend. You're getting invited to go to DKT, you're going to colleges, you're going to do trials, you're playing for North East, and you have Leinster trials, and same with Gaelic. You can only really play for Louth in Gaelic because you just play for the county. So you're doing all these trials, and then there was, when I was 14, close to turning 15, I was playing club rugby. I was playing for North East in North East Leinster for rugby. I was playing for 2 teams for Plunketts.
You were?
I was playing for 16s and the 18s, the minor team, and I was playing for Louth. So there was days where I'd be training on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I remember.
But there was one day where I had loud training at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, bear in mind, we had loud training last night. Like, we had a strength and conditioning session the night before. Yeah. And then we trained in the morning, pitch session. At 8 in the morning, you had to be up so early for that. Like, that was mad. Like, and then you'd have a game for Boyne at 12. And you just... So you're after coming off the back of a heavy night the night before for Gaelic, straight into a heavy morning of Gaelic, and then in the afternoon of the same day into rugby. Yeah. And then on Sunday, you could have a club GA match. You might have to train for North East. Then you just do it again on Monday. And you're still in school. You still have to do your homework. You still have to see your friends.
visit your family.
Like you still have all these things. Like it's just, I know.
So what did that feel like, Jay? What was that like for you at the time?
I like to say I loved it because I did love it, and I love playing sport. Like it's one of my biggest passions.
It's in your veins.
Like I just love it. But it definitely turns you off it. I can see why when you're that age and that young and all you want to do is be out and you want to be with your friends and you want to chill and you want to play PlayStation. Like that's all you really want to do because that's what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
But when you're playing sport at a high level like that, at such a young age, you're like, okay, I have an opportunity here. So I really have to give it my best shot. But on a Thursday evening when I have a lot of homework and I have to go training. I can't miss training, like, especially that would have killed me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's definitely a lot of pressure growing up, and it's the same for a lot of lads that I know.
Where did you feel, you see, this is the problem, I think, for some kids that are talented in sport. When you have a talent for sport and you have sport in your veins, like I played sport, your father played sport at a really high level. So it's just going to be organically in you anyway. Yeah. But when you say that it's a lot of pressure, is it pressure from me? Is it pressure from dad? Is it pressure from yourself? Is it pressure from your family? Is it from the club level? Like, where did you feel like the pressure was coming from at the time?
Everywhere, to be honest.
Really?
Because dad was definitely putting a lot of pressure on. Now, it's not bad pressure, like, but there was days where I'm like, I actually don't feel good enough to go training. And I'd say that to dad, and I'd be like, well, you have to go. You're going either way. Like, whether you're not training, you're still going. Like, I don't think, watch. When I was 14, 15, 16, I don't think I ever missed a training session.
No, you didn't.
Like, I wouldn't have been allowed.
No.
Because if I was injured, I would have had track buttons and coat on, standing there.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the school that Dad and I would have came from, is that even if you're sick, it's a different gig. Yeah. If you're sick, it's a different gig.
Especially if you take a day off school, you can't go training there.
No. But if you're injured, I suppose the angle that Dad and I would be coming from is that if your injury allows you to stand, you can stand on the side of the pitch and encourage your teammates. And I think that's a real old school way of doing things. Yeah. And Dad and I have always tried to rear you as old school mixed with new school as much as we can, because I think it's a far more grounded approach, really. Yeah. But I can see, like, Dad's hardcore now.
Dad is hardcore.
He's hardcore. I can recall one day when you were sick, and he didn't think that you were sick enough to not go to this game, right? And I'm a big lover of the thermometer. I can do brain, bone, guts, blood. I can do all that. But temperature scare me because you don't know what's going on. Yeah. And I remember having to argue the fact with Dad one day that your temperature was so high that there was not a chance of you playing this game. Yeah. But like, I nearly had to negotiate with him, and I was negotiating with your manager and all. They were like, "Are you sure you can't do that to get the beer?" I'm like, no. But I suppose, Jay, that's a compliment as well at the same time. Like, it's not fair. That wasn't fair on you, but it was a compliment as well from your management team for the people that you were playing for at the time, because they rated you so highly. Yeah. You know, I would have thought you were a very influential player in any sport. And everybody has an off game or a down day, or you mess stuff up. That's par for the course. But on the whole, I would say that and by the way, I'm not one of these mothers who thinks their kids are absolutely deadly and have rose tinted glasses, because Jay will tell you, if I thought that you had a shy game, I'd tell you that you had a shy game. Yeah. But I would tell you from a constructive point of view, not from I would like to think, you can tell me different, that I would come from a critique point of view rather than a criticism point of view, because people who critique you care about you, but people who criticise you don't. Yeah, like I definitely would have asked for constructive criticism. You always ask for constructive criticism. Some of them journeys on the way home from like long journeys, would be tough sometimes, because especially after like a big game. Yeah. Wow. But then you have to look at the days, Jay, on the way home in the car when we were celebrating. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like so much, there was so much to celebrate over the years. Yeah, true. Because you know, you've a fair few trophies.
There, to be fair, yeah.
And you've had the honour of sticking on some nice jerseys because you were playing for North East Leinster with rugby and for Louth, County Louth at the same time.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was tough. It was really hard, but it was cool to say I'm doing it, if that makes sense, because it's cool to say you're doing one.
Yeah.
But when you're saying you're doing two,
yeah,
like, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
It's cool. It's nice to tell people that, like, yeah, who'd you play for? Boyne and North East. And then do you play, Plunketts and Louth. Louth always seems more impressive to people, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, explain that.
Because it's not like Louth is the highest you can get in Gaelic, if that makes sense. The highest you can get is playing for your county.
Right.
But in rugby, you've North East Leinster, then you've Ireland, then you could go to Lions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different level. I can remember one day, I don't know if you remember this now, I'd say it was just before you started playing like at a really high level in both sports. I was calling you for school one day and you had said you didn't want to go to school. And I never bought the whole I'm not going to school gig unless you were sick. But the duvet days are very, very important. And I used to often have duvet days when I was in school for my own mental health. But I can recall this one day you were adamant you weren't going. And I was adamant you were going. And then you were just gone. And I was like, where is he? And it was time to leave. You were in your uniform and all. Do you remember this day?
I think so, yeah.
And I went into your room and you were in bed and you were crying.
Yeah.
And I was really, really taken aback and shocked, actually. And I got into the bed beside you and we had a chat. What can you remember what was going on for you at the time?
I can't, like, I'd say I was about 15 then.
You were.
So I definitely would have been tired. Like, I was often tired at that time because I was doing so much and still trying to juggle friends, family, socialism, sport. So I don't know, I think that's kind of the point of time where I felt like I was burning out. And
really?
That's why I kind of knew I had to make the choice that I just couldn't keep it up anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to stop taking Gaelic as serious and pursued rugby. But
you still stayed in Gaelic, but you just weren't playing for your county.
I didn't play for the county anymore because they were training like madmen.
Yeah.
Had us up there like 5 months a week.
The training schedule was tough. But listen, when you're doing one, I think when you're doing one sport, it's fine. But the fact that you were doing both.
5 nights a week for any 14, 15-year-old. That's, like, it's crazy. Like, I have loads of friends who are in the same boat playing really high levels of sport, always training. And the only time you see them was in school. And sometimes it'd be, like, I remember Taylor, for example, hurt his foot.
Yeah.
Couldn't come to school. Couldn't go training. Couldn't do anything for 2 weeks. Like, that was his life. Just because he hurt his foot. He could do nothing. So if that had happened to me, like a serious injury like that, or I couldn't even go to school, then I was nothing else other than sport, skill, and your friends. Yeah.
And what do you think the solution around that is?
Well, look, it's sport at a high level is nearly like a corporation. They're only looking for the best and who's willing to give the best at that age because they know if they're willing to give the best now, this is them forever. If you think about it, they're like, well, he's just a number, really. Yeah. Especially in rugby, I think. Because when you're playing for North East was a big thing at that age. Yeah. But it's so minuscule now, looking back, that you're only playing really out of a select, 10 clubs. But Leinster's out of a select 100 clubs. So that breaking point of the difference between North East and Leinster is huge. So they're like, we have to send 70 kids back to their club now. Yeah. So we may as well push them now.
And see who you can break
nearly. See who you can just absolutely have on the brink of madness. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because if they're not going to do it now, they won't do it in years to come, which I think is a little bit unfair. because I definitely have a little bit more time in my hands now
Yeah.
than I did then.
Yeah.
Unless I had made the choice to stop Gaelic completely, let's say, or stop
Yeah.
rugby completely and just pursue one of them.
Yeah.
But I was never going to do that. I was never stopping either of them.
Yeah. So yeah, that day, I just remember I was like, right, this is a mental health day.
Yeah.
This is a day where we just need to scrap everything, cancel all my plans, get into the bed, watch telly, eat junk.
And Dad definitely still forced me to go training that night as well.
Are you serious?
He definitely would.
Ajay, I don't think that day. I think I put the foot down that day.
You think?
Yeah, I think I did.
Well, I remember one day of Dad bringing me to a match, and I'm like, Dad, I'm sick. Dad, I'm sick. And I started warming up, and genuinely, like, nearly getting sick, and like pure coughing, like just disgustingness.
This is awful.
And I was like, Dad, I can't play. This is impossible. I can't play. And James is looking at me, the coach, James.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't play? I'm like, I know, tell me that.
So your dad's a tyrant.
Pure, like, wouldn't speak to me for the first half of the game.
Are you serious?
Wouldn't speak to me.
Oh my
raging.
God, we are totally throwing your dad onto the bus right now. Let's do this because he's not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's still like, I suppose it's pest you. Like, I don't not like the fact that he did that, if that makes sense. I'm glad he done it. No,
I don't like the fact he did.
I do because it pushed me to do something that was good for me, if that makes sense. Now, maybe not while you're sick, but
yeah, he's hardcore, all right, isn't he?
he is. It's probably the only thing that he has real hardcore about. Like that he really is like putting the foot down on.
Yeah, because I put my foot down in all other areas.
Yeah, you're gonna cover the rest.
I cover the rest,
Yeah.
but gee, we're gonna have to have a word with him later about that.
I know he's definitely relaxed now.
Yeah,
Like he gets it now that I'm a little bit older and able to say to myself, like, yeah, no, I can't train. Yeah, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Like he gets it's not really his place nearly anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so let that be a lesson to all the other parents with super talented, sporty kids. Don't push them too hard. Lovely. Okay. Next question. How hard really was the Leaving Cert?
I didn't find it that hard, to be fair.
You didn't?
No.
Right,
No,
go
look,
on.
I'm not. Obviously, I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. Like when it comes to skill, I was never, just wasn't. I always loved skill, but I hated the academics.
Yeah. You
I
loved the social
The
element of it.
social element of skill. Like, even in 6th year, like, me and lads done nothing.
Are you serious?
Done nothing. Like, done nothing. Like, we're bringing in brand new kettles every week. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we were bringing in a kettle, and we had the thing, Tea Tuesdays, remember that?
Yeah.
Where we were just telling teachers, no, like, I need a cup of tea now.
Right,
And
okay.
it just became a staple that the teachers would then just bring tea on Tuesdays to all the classes for all the 6th years. Like,
That's a nice part of the culture though.
yeah, no, it was lovely, and we'd all bring biscuits in on Tuesday and stuff, and that made it a little bit easier. But I think there's two aspects to the leaving of you've your two Leaving Cert students. You have your academic person who's has their head screwed on. I'm going to college. This is what I need. I need 580 points. This is what I need, and I'm going to get there. That the dedicated skill person that this is for me. And then there's me who's I'm here because I love the crack and I think I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean?
You're such a brat.
But
I
then
swear
if
to
you
God.
think about it, the lads that I would have hung around with were the same.
Yeah.
But then, do you remember the night before each of the subjects?
Yeah.
Me and the lads would be on FaceTime with each other.
I remember.
Like, you
Now, it wasn't only the night before. Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that you shouldn't do this. It wasn't only the night before.
If I was doing that, I'd be like, no, like, you probably should. Probably started yesterday, maybe. But no, like.
I think you're a little bit better now than you're egging on, Jay.
What do you mean?
Like, you did do a fair bit of study on, say, the 2 months before the leaving. I think you were knuckling down at that stage.
I was definitely doing my homework, if that makes sense. Like, I was doing a little bit more than what I normally would do. Like, if I had homework, let's say, I'd do half it.
Okay.
And just because
So are you telling me you're like the worst advertisement for a Leaving Cert student now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what would you say to Leaving Cert students now so they don't find themselves in the same position as you were?
Well, for a person like me, because I don't really have any experience of being that dedicated to skill, but I definitely would do small bits. Like, if I was to turn back the clock now, say let's start sixth year, I would have started in sixth year, because you can still have loads of crack and do small amounts of work. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you do small amounts of work up until it even, and then slowly gets bigger and bigger as everyone is realising, okay, right, I have to do me leaving now.
Do you know what I just had a thought there, just after getting a droplet into the back of my head? I think part of the reason why you used school as more of a social thing than an academic thing is because sport was so serious for you outside of school.
It's the only thing I was on outside of school, really. Sport.
That literally just occurred to me right now.
Like, that's why me and Lukey are still best mates. Because it was every night of the week we'd be sitting on the back of the car together. Every night. It was nearly forced on us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's nearly forced that we had to be friends, but...
Yeah. Okay.
That, like, he was the only real mate that I had at the time that was consistent. And I think you would agree with that he was the only one that I seen from when I was probably 12 until now, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But also, he's the only one that would have known what you were going through, because he was playing in every game with you,
like,
in every sport.
Every match, like, we done everything together sport-wise.
Yeah.
And it was nearly good that he wasn't in my skill.
Yeah.
Because then that probably would have ruined both of them.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be in the same bracket of that, like, we had nearly 2 escapes from each other, because the only time we were with each other was for sport reasons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the escape was skill.
Yeah.
So you just...
Yeah. So get back to the advice piece that you're giving to kids, because we don't want kids to think that you can completely wing it the way you winged it.
No, you can't.
You just
like,
need
I've seen lads that done the same as me and are now doing nothing, like.
Really?
Yeah, like.
Right, tell me about that. That's important.
Like, I got fairly lucky, to be honest, that the 2 subjects that I was best at, I was able to do them in college.
Okay.
And in a good college. Do you know what I mean? That I was very fortunate and lucky, like, dipped in holy water. Absolutely, I know it, like.
So what were your 2 strongest subjects?
Business and Irish.
And that's your degree?
That's Gaelic.
Gaelic.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But even if you think about it, right, the points for that last year were 50 points less than what they were this year.
50 points less. So it went up.
Went up by 50
points. Yes. So it's harder to get into.
It's harder to get into this
Jay,
year.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for... Like, I know you're saying you weren't that academic.
No, like, I had common knowledge on, like, the basics of all the subjects. Like, I knew what I was doing.
But you still managed to get onto the course that you wanted with even it going up by 50 marks.
No, I only got it by 2 points.
It doesn't matter, Jay. You're in.
I know, but I got the course and then only found out the day after, because then the points come out on RT the day after.
Yeah.
So I got my points and I seen how much the course was. The course was 387 or something. And I got 389. Like,
it's mad, isn't it?
Dipped in holy water.
Yeah, dipped in holy water, in fairness. If you fell out a window, you go up.
Yeah.
Okay. And this whole Leaving Cert thing now is important, because I know that there'll be other kids listening to this, and the fact that I work with kids as well as all the other things I do. Is there anything else you want to say about preparing yourself for it? Now, I know it's tougher for you because that was your first state exam, because you were one of the kids who lived through COVID when you were supposed to have your junior cert. You didn't have experience in a state exam. So what's the final thing you want to say on that now?
Just probably put your head down early rather than later, because there's no point in stretching yourself out for the last 2 months and be like, I'm a goner here. I have nothing. Like, I can't do this.
Okay.
Whereas if you start in even December,
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that is loads of time. You don't realise how long it is. Like, when you sit your mocks in February time, you're like, oh my God, the leaving starts in 3 months.
Yeah,
what
it's around the corner. Yeah.
But 3 months is either 3 months goes like that, or 3 months takes ages. And 3 months took ages for me, so I was very lucky. But if you start early and you do little bits, and as you get closer and closer, you'll be...
See, I think the mock scared you, and then you got the head down. that was what I saw anyway happening.
Yeah, they did scare me.
Tell me about what your life looks like now.
What my life looks like now. Just, it's very chill at the moment, to be honest. It's very chill.
I'm glad.
Getting used to college life and making new friends and still doing a bit of sport and stuff. Like, obviously I can't play as much because I have college and stuff, but still playing for the Plunketts, still playing for 2 teams there. So it's kind of relaxed now because it's Christmas season. Just kind of goes, boom, stopped. And then it's January, pre-season again. But it's good. I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. I'm having a great time in college and I'm enjoying all the modules and it's good. It's just kind of went seamlessly from summer into college, lovely. Which was very nice.
I'm so happy for you, Jay.
And I think a lot of people that went into college, like that are freshers this year, are kind of having similar experiences. I don't know what happens with the leaving, but everyone kind of, 90% of people I'd say got what they wanted.
Yeah, well, I think
that makes it a lot easier when you're going into college, when you know this is actually what I want to do.
Listen, you've had such a raw deal. I think the Department of Education had to be a little bit lenient because your year in particular got a good bit ripped off with your education.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very happy to hear that you feel that it's gone seamlessly for you and that it's chill.
It is very
because
chill.
Now it sounds like pressure.
Yeah.
And now now that you're saying that it feels like it's chill, that makes me really happy.
I feel like I'm kind of getting to live life a little bit slower, if that makes sense.
That's lovely.
I'm kind of getting to just taking time and stuff.
I like that. I'm very happy. I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy about that for you.
Yeah, like there's no pressure really anymore because there's no, like, especially the difference between skills. There's no one telling you to do that. So
your dad's not living in your ear.
Yeah. But there's no, like, obviously there's self pressure, but there's no external pressure coming from other people in college. So it's just kind of chill and like, I knew that if I started as soon as I got into college doing my work, that's me sorted then, because I know for myself and skill that once I start, I'll finish it. But if I don't start it, it's never getting done. Yeah. So I started straight away and just.
So you're being consistent.
Literally just doing a tiny bit of work a day.
Brilliant.
Like literally tiny. And
Fair play.
Some days, like, some days you might not have to do work for 2 or 3 days and you just chill. You go out. It's
good.
Cool crack.
So you're having the full spectrum of the
absolutely
university experience.
Yeah.
So Jay is the first person in both Neil and I's families to attend university. So it's really like it's a massive privilege for me, and I'm super proud of you. And good. I'm glad that you're proud of yourself. And it was one of the best. I'm going to get emotional now. It was one of the best moments of my life a couple of weeks ago when I saw you putting on the DCU jersey.
Oh, yeah.
That was really lovely.
Time for the Pats.
That was really nice.
It was a bit late for that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just circumstances. Yeah. But it was lovely to see. It was another
lovely to do as well.
It was a lovely another great milestone.
Yeah.
To observe you achieving in your life.
Yeah.